trip.
Please. Yeah.
Um, so we're talking about domestic and at home and the importance of serving in our community. And I love how Greg's saying you were yes sir, no sir, and our generation, Gen X, Gen Zs. Um, what do you see today as a way to really serve at home, whether it be ICE, the military, but that patriotism and how does it come out for you?
Well, I think my real focus is helping veterans. I mean, I've had some contact with some of the local deputies in the county, and a lot of them are veterans too. And they've gone on. Maybe they were in the Navy and got out up here and stayed on, and they're doing a really good job. I appreciate those guys. When I've needed to call on them, they answer. And people have, maybe some disdain sometimes for law enforcement, but I looked into that field. It seemed very thankless. So I'm glad of what they do. No one's perfect. I'm not, they're not no one's going to claim to be, but I do appreciate the fact that, I can, if you ever needed to, you can call and they'll answer. That's huge. And I think, my role is really to support veterans. We started the nonprofit. The Veterans Breakfast is just massive, and it's getting notorious in all the right ways because last year we had a county commissioner. His name's Orrin Root, retired Marine. He was. We actually did recruiting duty for a half minute when we were young kids. He stayed in. He's been a MARSOC capable. He's been he's a Raider. Um, he's the man. Now he's a commissioner in the county. He came and spoke. We had the mayor of Bremerton come out, Greg Wheeler. He's a Navy veteran. He spoke, and we also through a lot of secrets and pulling some strings. We got Lieutenant General J.P. McGee to make an appearance and speak, and that was high level. Personally, I've never spoken to a what they call a flag grade officer. If in the Marines it's generals, in the Air Force too, Navy it's the admirals and whatnot. Um, wow, amazing guy, amazing career. He at one time commanded the 82nd Airborne. I mean, and that's a famous, obviously, unit. Everybody can think they know that one. But it was really good to see these people coming together to serve veterans and thank them for their service. And it wasn't more of just saying the words, "Hey, thanks for your service," because that gets a little numb to some veterans. But it was putting their money and their time where their mouth was. Let's serve you. Let's turn the tables and come on back. So I do want to do more with that nonprofit, and I think we're capable of it. We'll plan some more events and some more outreach, to help veterans. And some of the chats, you get on with veterans. You see some people that maybe I realize that aren't in the same position I'm in, that don't have it as good. So what I've been able to see is jump in some of these chats and even field a couple phone calls from veterans that are having a tough time, and it's important to only listen. When somebody's having a rough time, hey, the world's coming down on me, is just to hear people and go, what you're feeling isn't incorrect. It's not wrong, and you're not a weaker person by speaking up and saying, hey, I need help or I've got a problem with something. It's smart. you know, um, I'm not a very, overly religious person or something, but I always remember the words that, um, they said, the Lord helps those who helps themselves. And I think when people reach out for help, they're trying to get better. It's our responsibilities as, community leaders. And in my case, going veteran to veteran to field some phone calls even and listen to people. I had a great conversation with a guy who's having a rough time. I won't name his name. And we went back and forth. We texted even, and I'm just glad that, he got the anxiety maybe he was going through at that certain time off his shoulders. Maybe he's able to sleep better, and maybe hear that, hey, man, you matter. You're doing the right things. If you're feeling some anxiety because when you were, a hard charger in the Army, and doing your thing, you knew everything. You knew every single thing, and now you don't, and that's tough. I experienced a little bit of that, in leaving the Marine Corps, not nearly to the amount as some of these guys, that maybe stayed in a long time or saw combat. you know you have to go from, I think I know everything in my field. I feel like I'm an expert. I know every answer to any question, to I know nothing. And you got to rely on people. It's like coming in, when I first met you, Greg, coming in the car business and going, I don't know. This guy's asking what the interest rate is. What is it? Or what is this? Or, he wants to know why we're only paying this much for his car. But the biggest thing I credit to learning from you, Greg, was, credit analysis and structure, and looking past, maybe just a low FICO score on somebody and really helping someone, because we had a couple cases where it was even a Navy officer, where you take the application and think, done, easy.
Garbage.
A car. And when he tried to get up and leave, he goes, okay, well, I'll be right back. And he was really nervous. We're like, oh, no, hey, have a seat. We'll get this knocked out, sir. No problem. And then pull credit, and it's atrocious. And it was like, what is going on? So when we got that, we looked past, what was on the surface, and found out that he was a caregiver for his brother's children. His brother passed away. He had to take it on. And he had a lot more expenses than he had a lot of income, for a while. And so he had some blemishes on his credit. But it was like, whoa, wait, that's why you have it.